Okay, so many persons have come to my DM asking me questions regarding property verification. I am glad that people are gradually becoming aware of the importance of verifying properties before purchase. You know, it breaks my heart about this whole demolitions and all happening in Lagos State and every other part of Nigeria. Okay, first of all, I want to indicate or notify you that different states, operate differently. For example, the way you verify properties in Lagos might be slightly different from Abuja and so on. Okay, so that is why you actually need professionals. Because basics, you might know the basics, I might tell you the basics, but then there are still some hidden movements and hidden skills and techniques a professional knows and will know how to handle that you might not know. But it is important I just highlight the basics for you. Now, in Lagos, what I see people do mostly is when they want to purchase a property, they ask for the documents of that particular property, maybe C of O. The developer will just give maybe the C of O number, and then the buyer, or maybe in some cases some lawyers, will just take that number, verify it at Alausa. Is this document corresponding with what you have there? Yes, and that is it. No, that is not the only due diligence. Yes, verifying that particular document is important, but there are so many aspects, so many angles to verifying a particular document, a particular property, making sure that that property is good and valid to be bought. Okay, so first of all, when you want to buy a property, the first thing to consider is this property free from government acquisition, and that is where the surveyor comes in. The surveyor comes, picks the coordinates. Okay, the surveyor will come and he will go to the exact location of that property and pick the coordinates. Okay, that somebody gives you a document is not enough. You have to verify, is this document corresponding with the property on ground? So that is the work of the surveyor. The surveyor will come, pick the coordinates, then of course they chart it. So sometimes for someone like me, I don't just go with only what the surveyor tells me. I don't stop there. Okay, I still, once the surveyor gives me this coordinate, I then take it to land registry. Okay, I take it there. So in some cases, some surveyors can actually take it there, you understand, but I take his words and still do my verification. So I will achieve two things there. First thing first, I will achieve if that is the exact document for the property on ground, if it corresponds. So if that is it, then is it free? Is it genuine? Is it free at the land registry? Because they're having cases of forged documents and the rest. We now have to confirm if it is free at the land registry. Okay, the land registry will reveal every information about that particular property. Now, if you're to get an official document stating the information of a particular property, it can't come out in 2 days. It can't even come out in 1 week. It can't come out in 3 weeks. Maybe max, maybe least 3 weeks. You understand? But then that is just for information from the land registry. There's something called land information. You can actually get it to know the exact status of that property. If that property is free, if it is not free, it will reveal it. Okay, now that is not where it ends. That is why I stated in one of my posts that the surveyor's job is limited. So in the case of the surveyor, where he picks the coordinates and gives me his own information is where his work ends. That is where his job ends. Now, you have to now verify the seller. Who is he? Does he have the right to sell? That is another angle. Some persons have bought properties from people who do not own properties. It is not their properties, and they sold it. I have seen some agents packaged, they are well packaged, they are rich, they are just middlemen, and they will sell some properties like it is their own. Okay, you have to verify is he the owner of that particular property that is selling to you? And does he have the right to sell to you? How will you know if you don't engage a lawyer? Because it is also a lawyer that will see the documents and know, okay, whether that document is corresponding with what the law has stated. So that is one. Secondly, what if that particular property has been used as collateral in the bank to take loan? Okay, what if? So there is also something called bank search. It is part of due diligence. And then what if that particular property is in court? What if there is actually a dispute? And that is where we have something called court search. So if you really want to buy a property, there's a whole lot to be sure that you escape any kind of dispute. Now, some properties are in dispute, but they're now in court. Some properties are in disputes, but they are not in court. How do you confirm that? That is where what we call environmental search. That is what we now conduct. And there's a way we go about it. Okay, to find out that this particular property is not in dispute in any form. Okay, so and many more. There are so many things that you need to check. Okay, let me give you another small story. There was this verification I did in Benin. So this particular buyer engaged me to verify the property before he buys. And then it's a family that wanted to sell, and when they gave me the documents, they just gave me like a shabby document that this is their document. First of all, it didn't have like a C of O, no title. Okay, that's fine. That a property doesn't have a C of O doesn't make it invalid. Okay, it can be freehold, you can perfect it thereafter. So I asked them what do they have, and then they say they have a power of attorney for their lawyer to sell. And when the lawyer gave me the power of attorney, I went through it and saw that it was just a shabby document. Okay, it was not properly drafted. It didn't convey any form of authority at all. I rejected it. The lawyer wanted to fight, blah blah blah. I said no. I insisted. I said no, that I'm not going to accept that. Okay, so that power of attorney was invalid. Yes, I rejected it, and in the process I said, okay, the only thing they can do is probably to give him a letter of authority. And in complex situations like that, there are alternatives. However, how would you know if you're not a professional in that field? How would you know? So he got the letter of authority, and next thing was that the family was actually a very large family. The deceased who owned the property had like 12 children. Deceased means their dead father. Okay, anybody who is dead is referred to as a deceased. So the deceased who owned the property had like 12 children. Okay, and these 12 children were in different parts of the world. So how were we going to get all their consent? Because you must get their consent to sell. You cannot sell a property, a family property, and the children who are the descendants of that particular deceased, or the children of the deceased don't know about it. That sale will be invalid, especially if the first son, okay, is not aware, or the head of the family is not aware. Okay, so it was a very complex one. Okay, it was a complex one, and thereafter, after like it took us like 2 months to conclude on this verification, like over 2 months, because I insisted on getting the consent of the children. So finally they were able to get documents and evidence of the children giving their consent, and especially the first son. Okay, I even failed to mention all these children were not from one mother. They were like from 3 mothers. Even if the document is correct, if it is not the right people who sold to you, you'll be in trouble. Okay, so the lawyer stamped the documents. I even made sure I made sure that the lawyer gave me an undertaking so that in case of anything tomorrow, we hold him too. Okay, thereafter I make sure that they were all stamped from the authorities. See, there's some verifications that you need to be tough about. Okay, then in the case of developers, don't forget that there is also a place where developers mostly do joint ventures in order to build, because in most cases this joint venture that they do also, it's like they have the money, there's a landowner, they put landowner brings land, developer brings money or whatever, and they build. Okay, so if these things are not properly documented, if they are not also given like a power of attorney to sell, so you see, property business is not really that business that you just come buy and just go. When you're making preparation to buy a property, one of the things you will budget for is verification fee. Like, it is more important than the purchase sum, because if you spend ₦1,000,000 on verification, whether it comes out well or not, it will save you of that ₦100,000,000 you would have used to buy that property. So even if the lawyer stamps and says, this property, I don't approve it, don't buy, and we have spent like ₦1,000,000 or 500,000 or 2 million, or the case may be, to verify, you understand, just know that you didn't lose. Because if you had not done that due diligence and you had gone to invest maybe 100 or 200 million, then just know that you would lose, or you will lose your 200 or 300 or 500. Some cases, some people spend as much as 600 million and they demolish their properties. A whole lot. I have so many stories and experiences over the years about verification properties. They will come threaten me, say a lot of things. Meanwhile, some agents too, they go behind as you're doing your verification. They will just be telling the buyer, you're wasting time, that this property will go, the property will go. It's better the property goes than for you to buy problem.